I'm Laker family. It's your brother Landon X. This is Nationtown TV Live. And today we're going to deal with a continuation on a topic that I thought I wouldn't even have to continue. You might have seen the previous installment of the leadership problem. Well, this time we're going to do a part two. And we're going to deal with the money this time. When the money meets the movement. We're going to talk about Tamika Mallory as well as Black Lives Matter and some recent issues in the news. We're going to have to deal with it. Let's get it.
I was told to deliver this message.
Three-o.
Laker family, it's your brother Landon X, and this is, of course, Nationtown TV Live. We're going to jump right into it. As I said, we're dealing with the leadership problem again. This is part two, when the money meets the movement. We're going to get deep into this because, you know, we really got to have these conversations. As you see a changing of the guard going on in the world, you know, and if we're going to hold that mantle, we're going to have to deal with those who claim or want or have the desire to represent us or lead us, however you want to put it. But real quick, let me first start off in the proper fashion. First of all, man, it's good to be back. We had to take off a couple of weeks, deal with some family business. It's good to see my people out there. Definitely hit us up with your questions and comments. But let's start off in that proper fashion. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who appeared to us in the person of Master W. Far Muhammad, the long-awaited Messiah of the Christians and the Mahdi of the Muslims. I further bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger, but please let your brother clarify, because with all due respect, honor, and gratitude to all the prophets of Allah, we make no distinctions. All the way from Abraham and Lot to Moses to Jesus to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, from whom the Holy Quran was revealed. I love and respect all of them, but the Holy Quran that we're reading right now in this blessed month of Ramadan, that Holy Quran that we're reading day to day makes me a promise and made you a promise in Surah 16 and 36, in Surah 10 and 47, and then goes deeper into clarification in Surah 14 and 4, where it says that certainly a messenger would be raised for every nation, and that messenger would also speak the language of the people. Language meaning linguistics, but also meaning empathy. The language of that people. And I can think of no other man that fits that description other than the man you're looking at right here, who was alive and in power, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, as the minister says, that great preacher of freedom, justice, and equality. And he is at minimum a preacher, at minimum the messenger of Allah, but in fact the exalted Christ. But I would know nothing of these two fantastic entities if it were not for the divine leadership, teaching, and guidance of none other than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And in those three great names, I greet the Nation Town family. Man, it feels so good just to say that again. In the words of peace, we said in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you, family. I see you. All praises due to Allah. Sister Josette X Simpson, congratulations, dear sister, on that X. We got Sister Valerie Ramadan Kareem, dear sister, all praises due to Allah. We have our executive producer, Shauna Joy, flooding the comment section as well. But make sure y'all hit us up with your questions and comments. This is, of course, Nation Town TV Live, which is always and forever brought to you by NationTownStore.com. Make sure you hit us up on NationTownStore.com. Support your Nation Town store, but also hit us up on Cash App if you feel it in your heart this beautiful Ramadan to bless us with anything from $250,000 to $250,000, you know, whatever you got going on in your life. But as you know, if you do so, or should I say when you do so, a portion of the proceeds, 10% to be exact, goes to our Yes Ma'am program. The Yes Ma'am program is actually a meal and a message where we work together to provide sustenance as well as PPE products. These are free meals that we would eat and that we do eat. I get my Navy bean soup on the daily. Please believe, good wholesome fruit, toast, the whole nine. We're blessing our people in these streets out here. So make sure you go ahead and show us some love. $ Nation Town on Cash App, if you will. But like I said, family, hit us up with questions and comments, because we're going to go a little deep, as we always do. I pray that I don't go too long, but I do also pray to be strong, because this is a topic that's serious, that we really can't play with, and it's dealing with the leadership or representation of a despised, rejected, destroyed people that we need proper representation. But what am I talking about when I say when money meets the movement? First and foremost, we've had two stories that have jumped out over the last couple of weeks. The Tamika Mallory story jumped out about 3 weeks ago. I intended to jump on it, but I had family emergency that I had to deal with. But I'm kind of glad I didn't, because since then there's been kind of a pile on. And there's also the story of a Black Lives Matter, one of the founders, this sister, her name is Patrice Cullors, and she bought a $1.4 million house in Los Angeles. And I'm going to be real with you, $1.4 million is actually not a lot of money in LA real estate, but that's not the problem. She actually went on a buying binge of real estate throughout the country, from Georgia to the Midwest to Los Angeles. But yet, all of these properties were purchased in predominantly white areas. And as you can see from the graphic, 98% white area here in Los Angeles. And for those of you who are not familiar with the demographics of Los Angeles is a very colorful community. Along with our Hispanic brothers and Asian brothers and sisters, combined with the Black community, you really got to work really hard, especially close to LA proper, in the city of LA, to find a community that's 98% white. You got to really, you almost have to, what's the word I'm looking for? You got to do it on purpose, because this is a very colorful community, very colorful. So this has created an uproar. People are calling our sister Patrice Cullors a fraud. People have said the same about Tamika Mallory. So the question that we're going to pose today, and we're going to deal with both sides of the argument. I can't really say I'm going to play neutral, because I'm going to have a verdict on it, a personal verdict. But we're going to look at both sides of it, because there are two sides to it, believe it or not. And if you think it's only one side, some of y'all probably like, oh, yeah, they sell out. Because that's what we programmed to do. We programmed to throw our people away at the drop of a hat. Some of you may say, hey, man, hey, they just do what they do, get their money. Now, here's the thing with Tamika Mallory. I didn't completely explain that situation. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you, Brother Ernest. I see you, Brother Jerome. All praises due to Allah. All praises due to Allah. But here's the thing with Tamika Mallory. I want to get into this just so you're clear. I'm going to start with her, with explaining the situation, I should say. I ain't gonna go full Vicky Dillard on my sister. Shout out to Sister Vicky. That's a hell of a sister right there. But here's the thing with our sister Tamika Mallory. What got people in an uproar most recently is the fact that she did this commercial, which was essentially a General Motors / Cadillac. Cadillac is a subsidiary of General Motors. And in this commercial, it starts off with her jumping out. And I didn't want to show the actual video because I don't want Cadillac tripping and then try to get my video kicked off of YouTube. Shout out to my YouTube family. Make sure y'all hit us up. YouTube, Nation Town TV. If you following us on Facebook and you not following us on YouTube, then you, sir and ma'am, are indeed a sellout. I just want to put that out there. No, I'm just playing. But definitely make sure y'all following us on YouTube. But this is how it starts out. First thing she does, she hops out of a Cadillac. Okay, cool. And then you get these several shots of women just, doing all kind of things, Black women, and all types of Black women, young, elder, looking fierce, looking independent, strong, all that good stuff. You know how it goes. And what's interesting to me, even more so than the Cadillac, because let's keep it real. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Is this the first time we've seen something on TV with Black people in Cadillacs? Come on now. Let's stop acting like you ain't never seen the Mac. You ain't never seen Superfly. You ain't never listened to an early Outkast album. Stop playing. But for me, it wasn't so much the Cadillac and the fact that it was a Cadillac commercial. It tries to hide itself. You don't see the Cadillac logo till the end, and then you see the Cadillac for like a half second, the Escalade or whatever that is, at the very first clip. But what really got to me was the fact there wasn't a brother in sight on the commercial. It was geared strictly toward the black woman. She was kind of giving a background on who she is, and she said something to the effect of black women are destined to lead this country. You know, and that's arguable in itself. Listen, man, black women are really at the forefront of the movement. I must say, they are the aggression and the intuitiveness and just the passion coming from the sisters in America right now is like right here, and then the brothers' passion is down here. I have to say. So I'm not mad at her for that. However, if there's ever a situation where one gender, the passion and the spotlight of the movement is up here with them, and then with the other, regardless of who it is down here. Whatever the goal is, if the goal is salvation, freedom, justice, equality, just whatever, we're not gonna get there. We just not gonna get there without each other. It can't be a black woman's movement. It can't be a black man's movement. And prior to this, Sister Tamika is on a roll, a very negative roll, because last year she caught flack for making the comment that sexism is worse than racism. That's just mathematically foul. that's mathematically foul, because racism deals with both sexes. So if you got something that both sexes have to deal with, and then one that really only one has to deal with, then how could it possibly be more? But it is what it is. And this is not the only thing commercialized that she's caught flack for. She caught flack for performing on stage. Well, I won't say performing like she was doing, like she was dancing or something, like she was doing what they call it, the Millie Rock or something, or the Bankhead Bounce or whatever. She was on stage, when Lil Baby performed during the Grammys. And Tamir Rice's mother was really offended by that. Tamir Rice, of course, that's the young brother that was murdered by the police in Ohio a while back. And she's also an activist, but she considers herself a real one, as opposed to Tamika Mallory. Now, let me just give shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you. Hit us up with your questions and comments. All praises due to Allah. But you know what? Let me just give some full disclosure, Nation Town full disclosure. I want you to know how I feel about both of these entities before I go any further, so you'll know if I'm being biased or whatever the case may be. Now, when it comes to Tamika Mallory, I have to say, man, I overall, I respect my sister. I love the fire that she moves with. I love her energy. She was one of the grassroots entities that was very influential and active with the 10-10-15 movement in 2015, which was the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March. The minister loves my sister, but the minister loves all of us. There's a crackhead somewhere in your neighborhood right now that's firing up his third rock of the day, and he ain't got a pot to piss in and a window to throw it out of. But I guarantee you, the minister loves him or her. So, but the minister is very impressed with her and a lot of the sisters that are, like I said, at the forefront of the movement. Now, being at the forefront of the movement, does that really mean they're doing it right? Because that's the reason why the man should either be by the side of his woman or protecting her from in front of her, because that's really how it's designed to be by the enemy. He wants the woman to be out front, because if she's out front, that's his goal anyway. That's the prize anyway. That's kind of like, I saw something really, 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 well, I'll put it like this. That's like sitting your money on top of the safe and then locking the safe. And then surprise when you come back home, and the money's gone. But I put it right next to the safe. Yeah, you put it on top of the safe. The woman is the most prized possession to any community. You know, sisters, just like you go to your favorite department store that you like to spend money on, and how they do your handbags, them expensive handbags. Do they have them handbags just sitting in a big old bin, just out for everybody to touch and try on and all of that? Nah, maybe Kmart, them little $10 bags. But the ones y'all like, the Birkin bags and Coach bags and all that, how do they have that displayed? Sometimes they have it behind glass. They have it behind a cube. And when you even buy it, they give you a dust bag to cover it and protect it from moths and stuff like that in your closet. They secure it, and they keep it secure. Same way they do money, same way they do diamonds, same way they do jewelry. And the most prized possession on this earth is the Aboriginal woman. So if they can get the woman to go out by herself, with herself, thinking she needs nobody but herself, then that's exactly where they want y'all. I know that's a hard message to put forth in this day and age, but trust me, it's the case. And all you got to do is look at the condition of the black family and the black community right now, despite the fact that we got all this education, despite the fact that we supposed to be so woke, despite the fact that we have all this access to information. We all out getting the bag. We all out generational wealth, but the ghetto's still the ghetto. Why is that? That's because they got it set up just the way they want us. But let me keep going. That's how I feel about Tamika Mallory. For the most part, thumbs up. Black Lives Matter as a movement, thumbs up. Black Lives Matter as an organization, absolute thumbs down. Simply because it's just too many red flags. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. I love the vigor. Again, I love the aggression. But Black Lives Matter as an actual organization, I think they call it the Global Network, Black Lives Matter Global Network. And then last year, they since took it off their page, but last year they broke down something similar to what we do in the Nation of Islam in the Muslim program. They had what they want. And in there, they spoke against the nuclear family, which is a classic family, man, woman, children. They spoke against capitalism, which was interesting, especially given the fact that Patrice Cullors is obviously involved in capitalism, buying up all this real estate. I don't think she's buying it to donate to the community, but there's some things that I saw in there that just makes that not something that I'm a fan of. So now that we got that out the way, shout out to everybody chiming in. We're going to dig right into it. Shout out to everybody chiming in. All praises due to Allah. Now let's get it. Are they sellouts? I want everybody that's watching right now, go in the comments section, whether it's YouTube or Facebook, and you give me your opinion. Don't worry about being right or wrong. It ain't no right or wrong. If that's how you feel, how you feel. Are they sellouts for what they did? Is Tamika Mallory, did she sell out? Not so much is she a sellout overall, but did she sell out by doing a Cadillac endorsement? Patrice Cullors, is she a sellout for buying real estate and literally investing in predominantly white neighborhoods? Does that make them a sellout, or were those just sellout decisions? Because that's the thing, like everybody tells lies. Everybody at some point in their life has told a lie, but that doesn't necessarily make you a liar. But do you believe that they're a sellout, or that they made a sellout decision by those two things? I'm going to consider that as I go forward. Now let's dig deeper into it. Now with Tamika Mallory, those who follow her and know her brief history, she works very closely with a brother named My Son, who is a rapper turned activist. He also was very active and influential in helping with the 10-10-15 movement. But they work very closely together. They used to be a part of an organization called Justice League. They since changed the name. I forgot what they changed the name to. I don't know if DC Comics got at them or whatever, but they changed the name from Justice League to something else. But they're kind of like the Bonnie and Clyde of this type of freedom fighting or this type of activism. So he attempted to defend his sister, and this is what he put out in a tweet. And y'all let me know how y'all feel about this. This is what my son said. He said, white supremacy is a structure controlled by billionaires whose job is to keep it going. You can't dismantle it with poor people whose hobby is to fight it. Activism is work, lifetime work, and activists have to pay bills. Sorry. And he also did a video on YouTube. I think it was an interview that he did where I think he just went live on social media, but I saw it on YouTube, and he tried to defend her, and he basically was saying the same thing. Hey man, activists got to pay their bills too. And I understand that. I understand that. But as far as defenses are concerned, my son, I done heard you freestyle before, brother. You're a very creative and talented brother. You could have did better than that. I literally could have, given her a better defense, but she has not come out to defend herself yet. She hasn't come out to speak on Tamir Rice's mother, who I believe her name is Samaria Rice. She hasn't responded to that, and I respect that, because the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, this beautiful brother over my shoulder, he is very slow to respond, especially negatively, to black detractors, to when black people, because they've been throwing darts at this man for 60 plus years, even within the Nation of Islam in his early years, and even today, he's got to deal with detractors. So he's no stranger to that. But I love the fact that no matter what an ignorant Negro say to him, he keep his eyes on the real enemy. So I respect that. I don't take that as evidence that Tamika Mallory is guilty. She knows what she did or didn't do. But I respect the fact that she's not going around like a battle rapper or just a rapper going back and forth, going live and tweets and all of that. That's just a bad look no matter what. If she was dead wrong, if she was caught on video punching a black baby in the face, she would be dead wrong by egging it on, going back and forth with people in the public view while the real enemy kicks his feet up and laughs. So I'm not tripping on that. I'm not tripping on that. But like I said, brother, my son, that was kind of weak. Now, another thing to consider with the sister Patrice Cullors, like I said, she done went on a binge, right? She done went on a binge of buying up real estate, which is not bad. Black people got to get into real estate. I'm proud to say that this past week, I was able to close on some property in the state of Georgia. My wife and I also have some property in Texas. Listen, man, real estate is what's up. It's the best investment you can make. I'm not mad at her for doing that on a personal level. But here's the issue. The money that she's using is directly from Black Lives Matter and directly from donors who are not donating to see white neighborhoods be invested in. That's not what they gave her the money for. Let's be clear. Let's be very, very clear. But to make matters worse, y'all got y'all seatbelts on, as Brother Nuri often says. This is what really, really had me tripping. And I see your comment, Sister Josette. I'm going to hit you up in a minute. I want y'all to read this, because this really, I just ran into this today. Black Lives Matter wing leader, not ringleader, wing like chicken wing, wing leader, I don't know what that is. His name is Hawk Newsom. I guess no pun intended. Wing leader Hawk Newsom in New York City is demanding an investigation into Black Lives Matter's finances after millions of dollars were discovered being squandered by its co-founder, Patrice Cullors, in the purchase of mansions for personal gain. Hawk Newsom, leader of Black Lives Matter Greater New York City, has called for a serious investigation after a new report revealed that Cullors, 37, has purchased 4 homes exceeding $3 million over the past few years. Now, I cringed when I saw this on 2 levels. One, I cringed because obviously there's an accounting issue where this money wasn't supposed to go that route at all, according to this guy. Secondly, as you can see, he's also a part of the Black Lives Matter organization, the actual organization. And I hate to see inner organization beef with black people, especially when it's made public. I just hate to see it. Even if I understand it, even if the person is dead guilty, I just hate to see it. So that's the thing that bothered me. So obviously Patrisse Cullors is getting called out for something that she appears to be guilty of. We have not heard from her yet on this issue. And let's be clear, Black Lives Matter, if they don't do nothing else in this world, if them sisters, and let's face it, almost all of them are all sisters, if they don't do anything else on this earth, because I want to show you a picture, if they don't do anything on this earth, they do make sure that they know how to get in front of a camera and in front of a microphone. So I don't think she forgot how to get in front of a microphone. And this is a photo of Patrisse Cullors and her spouse. I'm going to leave that at that. I'm just going to let y'all wrestle with that in your mind. But so here's the situation. This brother in New York, Hawk Newsom, I'm assuming is a brother. I think they said he in the editorial, but it's Black Lives Matter, which is the leadership structure of Black Lives Matter is like 90% black and Hispanic women, and almost all of them are lesbian. It's just facts. I'm just putting it out there. So he's saying that, hey, something's wrong with this. That money shouldn't have went that way. So that really is cause for concern. But let's just deal with what it is. But let me go to our questions and comments before I go any further. Shout out to everybody chiming in. Got a couple of really great comments. We got Sister Josette. She said, because I'm not supposed to judge, I'll leave it in the hands of the best knower, Allah, concerning their personal motives. But my heart condition says that our people should have been the main focus when blessed with the use of any platform that really cares nothing about us. They got coins, but more coins went to the owner of the platform. Just my opinion. Very good point. Brother Todd Hinton says, both sisters are not sellouts, because how can they sell out when the platform they both stand on is government funded? Therefore, we're never in the struggle 100%, because he who controls your platform also controls your options. Very good point. Jack Tripper says, yes, he's a sellout. It's a satanic agenda. Notice how the black woman was sitting like the Last Supper. And she in the middle like she's Jesus. Let's pull that up for the folks to see. For those who might be just now chiming in, you might not have caught that. I don't know, brother, if that's her. I haven't seen the actual commercial live. Like, I don't watch a whole lot of like regular TV anyway. I don't watch a whole lot of TV where commercials pop up. When I do watch TV, it's usually, one of the streaming services or something like that. But this does have a Last Supper look to it. Let's keep it real. It actually does. I don't know if that's actually her in the middle, but it does. And like I said, it's all women, not one black man in sight. And her actual words were, this is the same woman that said sexism is worse than racism. She said black women are destined to lead this nation. Not destined to lead this nation, not black people, not the black woman with her black man. And let me tell you this, just so I'm being fair and just so I'm clear, so don't nobody try to put no words in my mouth. The black man, no black man should say black men have to lead this nation. Black man should never say that. No, we should lead our households. And by leading a strong household, the man and the woman automatically become the leaders of the community. See, that's the leadership that we missing the boat on. We got all these personalities, but there's no leadership in the house. Where's the household leadership? That's what matters more than all of this. But not even a man should come out and say, a black man shouldn't come out and say, the black man has to lead. No, man. No. It's a group effort. We ain't going nowhere without the black woman. And the black woman ain't going nowhere with us. She'll go places in the enemy's world. She'll get a corner office. She'll get a Cadillac commercial. She'll get a house in a 98% white neighborhood. But where will we all go when she gets all that? Not a damn where. Nowhere. And that's supposed to be the point. Now, let me be clear about something. These are supposed to be activists now for the betterment of our people. These aren't basketball players. These aren't rappers. See, I don't expect nothing from them. When some brickhead brother who all his life, all he been doing is playing ball all his life, he probably had cheerleaders doing his homework, coaches, fudging his grades in school, and people just tell him, hey, just focus on ball, focus on ball, focus on ball. It's unfair when that brother gets to the NBA or the NFL or something, and we expect him to be Malcolm X. We expect him to be Louis Farrakhan. We expect him to be Stokely Carmichael. We expect him to be Huey P. Newton. When all his life, since he was like 9 years old, people ain't been doing nothing but putting a ball in his hand. Not one book in his hand, just a ball. And we expect them to be the leaders of our community. Same thing with rap. You didn't care about that brother when he was selling dope in the hood that he's from, when he was flunking out of the public school system or the public food system. We didn't care about him. We looked past him. We shook our head when we seen him standing on the corner slanging that rock. And then all of a sudden he becomes a millionaire rapper. Now he need to be, now you want him to be Baba. Now you want him to be Dick Gregory. Now you want him to be Minister Farrakhan. Now you want him to be Elijah Muhammad. No, come on, that's not fair. But when you come through the door with the label on your head that I'm an activist, I stand up for my people, and I'm going to show you something in a minute that really proves that point. But when they come in with that label, self-proclaimed, then the expectation has to step up. But there's a correlation between the entertainers, the athletes, and these so-called activists that I'm going to get to in a moment. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you. Hit us up with your questions and comments. Make sure y'all hit us up. Subscribe on YouTube. $ Nation Town Cash App. Show us some love. Sister Valerie said, united we stand, divided we fall. That's real. And Sister Josette says, no knowledge equals no power. And Josette says, Jesus, wow, looks like a subtle deception to me. Absolutely. Thomas St. Jack says, all praises due to Allah, brother soldier, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar indeed. Now, let's go a little deeper. Now, we talked about Patrice Cullors. Now, the thing that bothers me about Patrice, like I said, all of her money is coming from donations to the Black Lives Matter movement. Something that they just recently went public with. People have been asking, where is the money coming from, and how much money do they have, and where is it going? People have been asking that since Trayvon, since they started. But now, just recently, they released some information. I don't know what's harder to come by. Donald Trump's tax information or Black Lives Matter donation information. Now, they do have a right. Let me say this before I go any further. Private organizations have the right to keep that information to themselves. Private individuals have that right. You don't have a right to know about my personal finances unless I'm constantly coming to you and I'm telling you, like I told you at the beginning of the show, if you donate to $ Nation Town, 10%, I gave you an actual number, 10% goes to the Yes Ma'am program. I showed you specifically where it goes. When you're coming to the people and you're asking them to do something and they don't get an actual product directly in return in their hands, it's very important that they see a return on their donation, or what you can truly call an investment. It's important. It's important that they can say, well, they do this and they do that. That's important. When you got your hand out to the people, then it is important. However, some organizations really need to be discreet about their money to keep the enemy out. So I'm not 100% mad at that. But Black Lives Matter just recently started dropping a little bit of information about their money situation. Here's an article that talks about it. New York AP, Associated Press. The foundation, widely seen as a steward of the Black Lives Matter movement, says it took in just over $90 million in 2020, last year, according to a financial snapshot shared exclusively with the Associated Press. Check this out, though. This is a quote from someone in Black Lives Matter. They said, "We want to uplift Black joy, liberation, not just Black death," because that's what they've been doing up to this point. They're just the official organization of protesting. "We want to see Black communities thriving." I'm going to read that one again, people. "We want to see Black communities thriving," interesting, "not just surviving," reads an impact report the foundation shared with the AP before releasing it. One of its focuses now pay attention to this, please. The next two slides I'm going to show you, I almost want to throw up. One of its focuses for 2021 will be economic justice, particularly as it relates to the ongoing socioeconomic impact of COVID-19 on Black communities. Now, we're dealing with a situation that involves this sister right here, Patrisse Cullors. Patrisse Cullors. Her maiden name is Khan, literally. But let's look at what she also said. BLM, Black Lives Matter co-founder, Patrisse Cullors told the AP that the foundation is focused on a need to reinvest into Black communities. One of our biggest goals this year is taking the dollars we were able to raise in 2020 and building out the institution we've been trying to build for the last 7.5 years, she said in the interview. Again, she says the need to reinvest in the Black community. I got to give this a moment to sink in for the people. I'm going to need this to really sink in. Come on, we got to think about this. And here's why. Not for the sake of just dragging my sister or Black Lives Matter as an organization. This really is a reflection of just us in general, Black folks. In the Nation of Islam, for those who are familiar with what we believe, we do not believe in a spook God. I showed you at the beginning of this program that we bear witness that Allah, God, appeared to us in the person of Master W. Fard Muhammad. But God, if you believe in God, he has to be at the top of your belief system because he's God, right? So if you don't believe in a mystery God, then that nullifies and disqualifies you to believe in a mystery anything else below God on that totem pole of life, right? So I don't believe in a mystery anything, and Black people shouldn't believe in a mystery anything. And we also can't believe in mystery economic development. It's mystery economic development when you spend millions of dollars investing in a 98% white neighborhood for whatever reason, but then claim that your biggest focus, your main thing is Black economic development. Those two things don't match. We talk about it all the time on Nation Town, do we not? Speaking of which, I forgot to do something. We have our Do For Self City of the Week, which is a very one that is close, near, and dear to my heart. The Do For Self City of the Day, I should say, is my hometown, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Make sure y'all go to blackwallstreetmarket.us or .us. blackwallstreetmarket.us. blackwallstreetmarket.us. I'm not being paid for this endorsement, but me and my wife, Went to a pop-up shop in Tulsa, Oklahoma when we were in Tulsa, Oklahoma on historic Greenwood, which is being gentrified heavily. Gentrified heavily. Right next to this, right connected to this pop-up shop is a predominantly white, brand new apartment complex for upscale Caucasians. But they did have this pop-up shop that appeared to be very successful and was doing a great job. They even had vendors outside. They had a bazaar going on outside. Make sure y'all hit that up. blackwallstreetmarket.us. Definitely make sure y'all hit that up. And that's what I do for Self City of the day. All praises are due to Allah. But as I was saying, we got to take the spookism out of this. We can't. Unfortunately, our definition of being for something and striving for something in our community means wearing a hat and a t-shirt or begging our enemy for it. That's not striving for something. We're about to get a verdict pretty soon on the George Floyd situation, the Derek Chauvin case, I should say. I'm going to tell you right now, justice will not be served. And justice cannot be served. I don't care if they get this man 1,000 years or if they come into the courtroom with the lethal injection needle. That's still not justice. They don't have it to give us. Justice is not theirs to give us. Take that power out of your enemy's hand. It's not in his hand. But the point I'm making is when we talk about economic development, what are you really talking about? You personally. Black man, black woman, Aboriginal man, Aboriginal woman. Are you talking about a handout, a check from your enemy? Or are you talking about something that we all have to do individually but collectively? I got to say that again. Individually but collectively. What do I mean by individually and collectively? When the new Jordans drop, we individually go to the Foot Locker, but we collectively stand in line, right? The people in that line didn't have to go and post something on Facebook or IG and say, hey, man, the infrared's about to drop. Please come and stand in line with me. They didn't have to put that out there. They didn't have to beg nobody. These were individuals who had a desire. Desire feeds the will. They had a desire to get the new Jordans, which really ain't new. They actually came out 30 years ago. They actually cost about $8 to make, but they charging you $200 for it, even though it was made in some ghetto in the middle of Malaysia or Thailand, but that's neither here nor there. But that's an example of individuals doing something collectively based on a real desire. See, it's not something that we got to stand around and wait on everybody to sign up for and commit to and swear their life to. And then, all right, y'all ready? 1, 2, 3, Black salvation. Stop that. No. We have to start looking at Black economic progress as an absolute need, not a luxury. Because this is how it started in the first place in Black Wall Street. But when it's a spook idea, when it's a mystery idea, then we'll spend our money and invest 98% of our money in 98% white communities and then somehow expect Black salvation to trickle down out of that. Where? How? How, Sway? How? It does not work like that. So I just had to point that out. And I don't know, I'm not going to just say my sister is a con artist or that she's getting over on the people. She probably just don't know this. And that's a realistic thing because there's a lot of Black folk that don't know this. It's Black folk that think that if I get my Black Lives Matter t-shirt and then I go on Facebook and I type how mad I am when so-and-so random cracker cop gets acquitted for murdering a Black baby or an innocent Black person of any age, then I've done my part as a woke Negro. And then we move, and then the next day we go to Whole Foods and buy out the store. And then there we are in that Jordan line. And then there we are going to our favorite coffee shop that's 20 minutes away from the Black community. And we don't see how those two things correlate. And then we have this collective idea of success, which is move to a good neighborhood. send my children to good schools. Y'all been watching Nation Town long enough. Y'all know what good means. It's a code word, which means white. That's something that's prevalent in our community. I can't just put that on Patrice Cullors and act like she invented this. I can't put that on her. I can't act like she invented this mentality. I wasn't even surprised. I was upset, but I wasn't really surprised. And I was only slightly upset, and I'm going to tell you why in a moment. But let's not act like Patrice Cullors invented this. Let's not act like Tamika Mallory invented this, being for sale to the highest bidder. Let's not act like this is something new in our community. Let's just be real. Come on now. Come on now. Now, another thing, I don't feel right. I feel strange just even critiquing our own people without exposing the real enemy. The real daddy warbucks in all of this is this handsome young man right here. Hit us up in the comments if you know who this handsome individual is. I can't even say it with a straight face. But let us know. Hit us up in the comments. Do you know who you're looking at? Do you know? Do you know? Do you know what time it is? Tell me, do you know? Tell me, do you know? That's George Soros. He's a Hungarian-born Ashkenazi Jew who made his multi-billion-dollar fortune, which is about 8 to 9 billion with a B. He made his money on Wall Street, investing in stocks and hedge funds. And he is one of the top philanthropists, meaning people that give to charities in the world. But see, philanthropy, just like religion itself, can be used as a weapon. Constantine said it in the year 325. He said, in hoc signo vinces, with this sign, meaning the cross, we conquer. But they done already conquered religion. Now they moving on to philanthropy, organization. Let's start an organization for the Negroes. The NAACP, started by Jews, didn't have its first black president until the 70s, man. The NAACP, yes, that NAACP didn't have a black president until the 70s. They were only 30 years off of having America beat the NAACP and having Mexico had a black president before the NAACP, and that's a fact. Mexico had a black president before the NAACP. So that's the new hustle now. From that top 1%, that 10%, as we taught in our Supreme Wisdom. Let's give them a little bit of money and give them some grants and some organizations. That'll keep them, but don't let them really do anything. Just, make sure they get all those spots on all those news talk shows. Let's give them all the clout. Let's train them how to get everybody riled up. But let's just make sure that they don't actually do anything that will supplant this man, that will replace this man with Diddy or Louis Farrakhan. Let's make sure that we stay on the top by giving them something to play with. Black Lives Matter, something to play with. A couple of coins on by doing a Cadillac commercial. That's something to play with. Like you give a child, a pacifier. You give a child an iPad so they can watch cartoons on YouTube all day while you talk on the phone with your friend about nothing. Oh, my bad. I'm sure none of y'all do that. All praise is due to Allah. But moving along. But let's just not act like that this is something new. But this is George Soros. Like I said, he's a philanthropist. He gives billions. He's given billions to his charities. He sets the charities up. He makes sure that he knows and controls what the charities do and don't do. But then when you see it reported on your news, it says George Soros gave X and X million dollars to so-and-so black organization. And then it warms your heart and you say, oh, that's such a nice white man. But you don't see the strings behind it. You don't see the strings. Now, what's interesting about this, those in the Nation of Islam are, of course, familiar with this man right here, Master Fard Muhammad. But we're taught that when it comes to Master Fard Muhammad, at the age of 6 years old, Well, I'm going to let you read it for yourself. These are the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, speaking of Master Fard Muhammad. This man, Master Fard Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad said of him that he came to us from the holy city of Mecca in Arabia. He was born February 26, 1877. He knew his future when he was 6 years old. He saw himself pushing the DuPonts, the Rockefellers, and the House of Rothschild, this synagogue of Satan, into a lake of fire when he matured. Now, why am I pointing this out? Those three groups, those three families, the DuPonts, the Rockefellers, and the House of Rothschild, yeah, they are the synagogue of Satan all day, twice on Sundays. But guess what? Those three are also the world leaders in philanthropy. You can't find somebody, and you could throw George Soros in that mix. You can't find somebody that can beat those four entities in giving to so-called charity. You can't beat them. They're also all connected to the American economy, the international bank, and the stock market. But they're all the top contributors. The Rockefellers, for example, one of the most prestigious black colleges is an all-girls college called Spelman, which was named after Rockefeller's wife. And from personal experience, having known sisters that graduated from that school, shout out to them. Shout out to all the sisters out there getting their education and doing great things. A uneasy percentage of them, I won't say most, I won't say all, I won't say many, they often come out with a personality that says, I don't need a man to accomplish anything. But they're not talking about George Soros when they say man. They're not talking about J.D. Rockefeller when they say man. That wouldn't make sense because they just graduated from the school that's named after his wife, who wasn't that smart anyway, but she started the school. So the man they're talking about is the black man. So what I'm saying is that these individuals, they have these tentacles, and they know how to hide their tentacles behind something that's actually good for us and that we're naturally attracted to. They do it with education. They do it with religion, and they do it with philanthropy. But let me move on. I won't be on much longer, family. But my point is this, and the brother alluded to it in the comments, and I want to give it its actual source. There's a philosopher by the name of John Ray who put it best. He who pays the piper can call the tunes. To put it in a modern context, he who pays the DJ picks the songs. And that's how it is. That's what's going on. And that's why what Tamika Mallory did is extremely problematic. Because now they have her under contract. And now she's tasted that blood money. So now when she goes on CNN or any platform to speak on, like you're going to see her on TV when the George Floyd or Derek Chauvin verdict drops. You're going to see her on TV. I'd be real surprised if you don't. Regardless of which way it goes, you're going to see her. But when she comes out there, she's going to have to hesitate a little bit on what she says and how she says it. Because she might have a Rubbermaid contract on the table, a Sony contract on the table, a Nike, a shoe deal on the table. Who knows? Who knows? Because I used to cringe back in the 80s and 90s when I used to see Martin Luther King's face on the side of a Happy Meal. And I used to think to myself, there's no way Dr. King would have went with that if he was alive. And now we have living representatives, living freedom fighters being commercialized. But let's keep it going. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you. I see you. I see you. He who pays the piper dictates the tune. And on that note, make sure you hit us up on Cash App, $Nationtown. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit in a minute. I'm going to hit up these comments, see what's going on. Kind of look like y'all going off. All praises due to Allah. Todd Hitton says, great point that you made about us expecting others to be like the minister. Those sisters are not sold. They did not sell out. Todd also says, hell, people been asking where the money from the Million Man March. Anyway, the minister said we should not speak bad about people who don't speak bad about us. Those sisters are not uttering or condemning a word about the nation, so the nation will not be the aggressor in either attacking them or condemning them on any social platform. Why not use the time today to build the nation and make the nation's great commission known? Because they are not using their airtime condemning us. Just use the clean glass, dirty glass. That's one thing. But also, there's the freedom of information. You gotta have the freedom of information. I'm not condemning either one of them. I'm not condemning either one of them. It's just facts. It's just facts. Now, some people have absolutely been condemning them, calling them all kind of con artists and calling them false prophets and all that kind of thing. But we have to know that this is going, because it is a story in our community, dear brother. All praises due to Allah. Sister Josette says, ignorance will lead one to believe the salty water is fresh water. She says, nope, I'm clueless. That was George Soros. And then Brother Reginald says, you stay on as long as you want an outstanding landing. All praises due to Allah. But like I was saying, we have to know about this. We got to know about this because these are issues in our community. The leadership problem. Because here's the thing. We have a problem with our leadership. And we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it. We got to. And to be fair, when like I said, the athletes and the entertainers, when they do something we don't like, we jump all over them. But they never presented themselves as our leaders. They never came out and said, you know what, I'm going to drop this album and I'm going to save the black community with this album. None of them say this. None of these athletes say, you know what, I'm going to make it to the NBA and I'm going to take that NBA money and I'm going to save the black community. None of them say that. But let them just marry a white girl. We all on their head. Let them, drop a video where they doing weird stuff with somebody that appears to be a fictional rendition of Satan, and we all on their head. But these are people who never claimed to lead us. Never claimed. Never attempted. Made it clear from the beginning who and what they were and are. But when those who say that they represent us get in front of us, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan will back up what I'm saying in just a moment, please believe. But moving along, here's something that I also have an issue with. And this is a blanket issue, not just with Sister Tamika Mallory or Sister Patrice or any of them in particular, but something that I see with us in general. That is one of the reasons why we lead and we end up falling for these snares, these traps. As the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says on page 100 of Message to the Black Man, we have an issue with this right here. We have an issue with this. We have a clout issue in our community, particularly the activist community. Because it bothers me that no matter what our profession or our line of work is as black people, we have this need to be famous and to have a celebrity and there's a reason for that. I gave it some long, hard thought. And here's what I mean by it before I get into the reason. Okay, so you're an activist. Okay, so you've raised money. Okay, so you're bringing awareness to issues going on in our community. Good. We have enough issues in our community to where you almost don't have time to do anything but focus on those issues. And everything you do, it has to push toward those issues. But we always seem to find the time to paint ourselves in this celebrity light, in this light of being like a rapper or being like a famous athlete or being like, sometimes the lines drawn get so skewed that you can't hardly tell the difference between a reality show TV personality and a so-called activist. This is the same thing that Samaria Rice was saying when she went off on Tamika Mallory. I think she went too hard on my sister, but I can't say that Sister Rice was wrong. I just think her choice of words was off, and I think she was really operating straight from her emotions. But this bothers me because we'll be a dentist. Dentists make great money. We could have a large nationwide dentistry, but then we still feel the need, oh, I gotta be famous. You're already a millionaire if you got dentist locations all over the country, and you're making good money even if you just got one dentist office. But we feel like, oh, but I gotta be the celebrity dentist. Why do we feel that way? It reminds me of a Chris Rock joke where he said, he was talking about the neighborhood that he lives in New Jersey. He said there's only 3 black people that lived in this neighborhood in New Jersey. Him, P. Diddy, and Mary J. Blige. And he said his next door neighbor was a white dentist. He said, here I am. At the time, he was the hottest comedian in the world. Diddy, at the time, and to this day, one of the most successful hip-hop moguls in the world. Then you got Mary J. Blige, the queen of hip-hop soul. And then in between all them is a basic white dentist. He wasn't the best dentist. He wasn't the smartest dentist. He didn't invent nothing. He didn't invent no special kind of toothpaste or nothing. Just a regular dentist. And these are the people that we strive to be able to live next to. And my point is this: why is it that we have this fascination with being famous and getting clout? Now let's look at this. After thinking about it, I realized why. There's something called, what they call it, epigenetics. And with epigenetics, that means that some of the trauma, a lot of the trauma from slavery, literally and genetically trickles down to later generations unless we fight hard against it and have institutions that fight against it. And the number one institution to fight against epigenetics is a strong black family. And we all know the condition of the black family right now. So the epigenetics of slavery is running rampant. In slavery, the best thing you could do was entertain the slave master, which would make you popular. It would make you known to the slave master. You wouldn't have to work as hard as the other slaves. What you're looking at right here is a rendition of the Mandingo fights, the same kind of fights you saw on Django. If you saw the original Roots, you saw Fiddler. Fiddler had high esteem on the plantation, as far as a slave can have, because he could play that fiddle. And there was always the Negro who could dance and entertain the slave master and his guests with his dance. And it seems like the epigenetics of that has trickled all the way down to today, where no matter what we do, we feel the need to want to be famous, not effective. Famous, not effective. We got to have our name in lights. Everything we do got to have our name on it. Not what we represent, but our name. We got to be on the forefront. We got to enter this elitist class of Negroes. We got to be seen with this celebrity, that celebrity. And ain't nothing wrong with that. But when that becomes the goal and not being effective, then that's the problem. And that's where we can get snared. And that's one of the issues that I have, is just this determination. If you took that determination and aimed it at what was supposed to be the real goal, then man, we would make so much progress, but we don't. What we want to do is be invited into what they, some of these conspiracy theorists call the boule and things like that. I don't really get into all of that. The minister has taught on that. But I know that mentality is absolutely real. And it robs us of some of our best and brightest minds because of the epigenetics of feeling like I gotta be somehow famous. I gotta be a personality that I gotta be on a commercial. I gotta do this, I gotta do that. I gotta live in this upscale neighborhood. I gotta do all this, do all of that. Or else, no matter what else I'm doing, that's not sufficient. Why do we have that mentality? Another reason we have that mentality is because integration really destroyed our communities. I just showed you some footage from my trip back to my hometown in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You know, one of the biggest myths in the world, and we kind of touched on this before on Nation Town. You know, one of the biggest myths about Black Wall Street? Two big myths. One, that they never rebuilt. That's a lie. 70% of the businesses were actually rebuilt immediately after 1921. Another myth that people always say is even on this placard that they have on the street, financed by the local government, that this Black Wall Street, this thriving area was thriving and thriving and thriving until a angry white mob came and destroyed it. Some of y'all might be watching and saying, but brother, that's true. No. And I hate the implication that an angry white mob can tear down what today, considering inflation, probably would have been $1 billion community. But they want you to think that. But the truth of the matter is, what really killed Black Wall Street after it was rebuilt, what really put the nail in the coffin, was integration. Integration. That's what killed Black Wall Street. That's what kills us. That's what takes away some of our greatest, our best, and brightest. Hell, that was even something that Malcolm fell victim to. Because he immediately went from mopping up the floor with the best reporters and philosophers that the white man had to offer. He went from that to going in front of them and just airing out what he thought and what he put out there as nation business. Integration. If I can't have it my way over here, let me just integrate with them. So moving along. But here's another issue. Because of integration, our community dynamics have changed. But let me be very specific. And I won't be on much longer, but let me be very specific. Do you know there was a time, and not that long ago, and this is from information I got from people that was alive back then, because I, of course, I hope you can tell, I wasn't alive in the 50s, 60s, or 70s. But there was a time where a little black boy whose father was probably a bus driver. There was a time in like the 40s and parts of the 50s where that little black boy and his bus driver father lived, where across the street there was a black doctor. Down the street was a black nurse. Around the corner was a black teacher. On that same street was a black entrepreneur, 2 or 3 of them. It might have been a couple of unemployed households. But all black people lived in the same neighborhood. So that little black boy, if he wanted to be a doctor, if he wanted to be a nurse, if he wanted to be a teacher, if he wanted to be an entrepreneur, he could say, Daddy, can I go down the street to Mr. Johnson and ask him what it takes to be a doctor? A child could do that. A working class child, not no Cosby Show child, a working class child could do that. But now, since we have that mentality that our success lines up and congruent with being near white people, our communities are busted up. So now all the poorest black people, the least educated black people, the least employed people all live in the same housing projects in the same communities. So the only time a black child sees themselves doing anything other than gangbanging, other than selling drugs, other than pimping, other than prostituting, or other than working a low-paying menial job is on television. But what do they see on television? They see celebrities, they see athletes, they see rappers. So now if you go to a 9-year-old child today and ask them what do they want to be, what are they going to tell you? Celebrity, baller, rapper. Never fails. So then if that young brother grows up and does something other than that and is good at it, his natural inclination is, okay, now I got to be on celebrity mode. Now I got to dress like my favorite rapper, my favorite athletes. I got to talk like them, dress like them, wear the same jewelry, drive the same cars, do all the same things, be on all the same shows, do all that kind of stuff. That's one of the reasons why they have that mentality. Now, I'm going to hit y'all with this. Because like I said, I don't know if y'all was paying attention or not, but when I started today, I said I am going to explore both sides of the argument. And now we're going to have to do some self-analyzing. Because we have a situation where a sister went on a binge. She went on a real estate binge. But like I said, it's good. It's always good to buy real estate. But this is also a sister who Black Lives Matter proudly proclaims has a Marxist or communist or socialist type of belief when it comes to economics. Marxist people don't go on real estate binges like that. They believe in collective economics, share and share alike. That's what they believe. So she's kind of off the mark on that. But she's got millions to spend on houses. Sister Tamika Mallory, I don't know how much she got paid, but she's on Cadillac commercials. Now, the question we got to be honest with ourselves and ask ourselves as day-to-day Black people, do you really want to see your representatives poor? Or do you gravitate toward those who have clout, who have certain material things? Let's come on, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Do you prefer a clout-chasing representative or freedom fighter? Because the minister taught on this. He taught on the conundrum that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad had in the early days of him building the nation. Elijah Muhammad is a frugal man. Very simple, frugal man economically. But he got tired of constantly hearing from Christian preachers, well, if your God is so powerful, why are you driving around in a regular little Buick? Why are you in that little bitty mosque if your God is so powerful? These are Black people talking to him like this. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad reached the point where he said, you know what? I got to show a little muscle. It even says that in the Bible, God laid bare his arm for all the nations, meaning he flexed on the world a little bit. So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad started to flex. He bought one of the most beautiful cathedrals in Chicago when he bought the Greek Orthodox Church and called it Temple Number 2. It's now known as Mosque Mariam. He went and, he bought a nice home. He bought not only that home, but he bought the home behind that home. So he shut those haters up. But you got to ask yourself the question, if somebody comes to you and they don't have that clout, they don't have that celebrity image, are you listening to them? Are you paying attention to them? Do you respect them? Since this is the holy month of Ramadan, let's get into the Holy Quran, because it talks about this. That's why we can't, I don't care what you think about religion, you can't dismiss it because there's too many wonderful lessons in it. And it's really for us anyway. This is the Holy Quran, Surah 2, 247. And it says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And their prophet said to them, surely Allah has raised Saul to be a king over you. But they said, how can he have kingdom over us while we have a greater right to kingdom than he? And he has not been granted abundance of wealth. He says, surely Allah has chosen him above you and has increased him abundantly in knowledge and physique. And Allah grants his kingdom to whom he pleases, and Allah is ample giving, knowing. Now, given the fact that all of the people of the Bible and Quran, almost all of them look like me and you, this proves that this has been an issue in our community for a long time. The idea that we want our leaders to do everything for us and get nothing in return. What part of us makes us think like that? What is it about it that we want to see the rapper with the money in the car? We want to see the athlete with the money in the car. We want to see the celebrity, the actor, the reality show personality. We want to see them with all the best things that this life has to offer materialistically, but you want your representatives to go and sit down with world leaders with their stomach grumbling. In the security world, they call that a security breach. That's a security breach. For somebody that's representing you to be sitting across from wealth with their stomach grumbling. Back home, their wife and children are staring at an eviction notice on the door, or don't let me see you in the street bill sitting on the table. But you expect them to sit across from George Soros and maintain their square? Where they do that at? See, we gotta be honest. Do we want it? And then on the more image standpoint, not even financial, but image, do you find yourself gravitating to those? Oh, look, so-and-so, he's with someone, MC so-and-so, this rapper over here, this person and that person. Oh, that validates them. Not the leader validates the athlete or the rapper. No, in your mind, some of you are thinking that leader is validated because they're sitting here talking to a rapper or talking to a celebrity. We got to do some self-examination. Now, before we go any further, let me just say this. The real issue with both of them is this right here. Conflict of interest. This is a legal term. For those that know me personally, you know I work in the legal field. Conflict of interest, a situation in which the concerns or aims of two different parties are incompatible. The minister's we're going to hear from the minister on this, trust me. The conflict of interest between elected officials and corporate lobbyists. We don't even like to see politicians in the room with GM and Cadillac. Too big to fail banks. But we want our so-called activists doing it? All right. Now, before we get out of here, two things we got to do. One, we got to hear from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And two, I'm going to deal with a 419-pound gorilla in the room that some of y'all might be thinking, especially on YouTube. Shout out to the YouTube family. Y'all funny. Y'all funny on YouTube. But shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you. Brother Good God said, teach, all praises due to Allah. Sister Josette said, entertainers got privileges. Things haven't changed. All praises due to Allah. That's real. But let's look at this before we get out of here. Some of you who will see this or are watching this might be looking at this man over my shoulder. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, you hating on Tamika Mallory. You hating on sister from Black Lives Matter for buying a house in a white neighborhood where the minister lived. I'm glad you asked. And this is for those who don't know. I'm sure some of you already know. Many of you. And I'm not doing this just to brag and to say that the minister's perfect or anything like that. But you can't condemn one. Like the brother said earlier, Brother Todd said clean glass. Where is the clean glass, brother? You can't condemn one and then not give them a solution. That's a habit that we got to come out of too. Those of us who consider ourselves woke or whatever, will condemn what we see a brother or sister doing. But when they say, okay, well, nigga, what you think I'm supposed to do then? And we say, well, I just know you ain't supposed to do that. Well, let me give you an example. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has two primary homes in the United States of America. I'm going to show you the homes first, just so you can see them. They're nice homes. Hey, man, I can't front. Nice homes. This is some footage I took of his home in Phoenix, Arizona, with that Nation of Islam national flapping in the wind. Beautiful. Nice home. It's more like a compound. Not just a home, it's more like a compound. This is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's Chicago home. Now, both of these homes were also once owned by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And they weren't handed down to the minister. The minister recouped these homes after both of them were facing foreclosure and were about to be sold to other entities. But both of these homes, both of them, exist in working class, predominantly black neighborhoods. Well, I'll say the one in Phoenix, I know for a fact is a working class black neighborhood. The one in Chicago is in a somewhat upper class black neighborhood. It's 70% black. It's called the Kenmore District. You can look it up yourself. It's 70% black. But it was made upper class because black folks in Chicago who lived in that particular neighborhood, they kept it up. And they did. See, gentrification has nothing to do with white people. Black people can gentrify. Did you know that? You can take your education and your money and go buy a house in a black so-called ghetto, take care of the house, fix it up, and you automatically boost the property value. You being black, the same way a white person can do it. You can do that. Gentrification, the gen means to be born or to be reborn. It just means to start something anew or start it better. That's all gentrification means. It has nothing to do with white people. So that community in Chicago was gentrified by black people. Barack Obama lived not too far from there. But it's a 70% black neighborhood. There are oases like this in every black community. Every one. They got them here in Los Angeles. They got Windsor Hills. They got Baldwin Hills. They got Ladera Heights. These are black neighborhoods just right around the corner from South Central that have amazing houses, beautiful communities, good schools. So you don't have to live in the projects if you stay amongst your people. Get out of that. And the minister is an example of that. The neighborhood in Phoenix, man, listen, the brothers of the nation know because we do work out there. That neighborhood it's just a regular working class black neighborhood. They all know the minister. They come outside, they see 30 brothers outside, it ain't no big deal. They drive past and say, hey man, tell the minister I said what's cracking. And I say, yes sir, brother. And he pull off in the 86 Cutlass. And they're so proud to have the minister in their neighborhood. And before the minister, it was the messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So it's possible. Now, another question you might be asking to those mischief makers. And the brother also mentioned this in the comments. What about the Million Man March money? 2 million brothers. I know they gave some money. I know it was some charity. What about that? What they do? See, the minister, boy, I tell you. See, being an activist, you got to move right. You got to move different. You got to know what your enemy is going to say and what your enemy within is going to say. And you got to know it in advance. The minister did something that was just like our lessons say, it was right down to the modern times. The internet in the 90s wasn't what it is today. Social media didn't even exist yet. But in the late 90s, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, first of all, immediately after the Million Man March, he had an independent accounting firm do a full accounting of every dime in the Million Man March. And then he posted it on the internet and it's there to this day. Let me prove it. Let's go check it out. Let's go check it out. You go to Google and you type in Million Man March audit. And it will pop right up. And then it'll take you to it. It's on the Nation of Islam website, NOI.org. It breaks down every penny. As you can see right there, it says Million Man March 1995 independent audit. And when you get to it, you probably can't see the details that clearly there, but when you get to it, you can scroll down and see every dollar that was taken in and that went out. They just barely, now 2 million black men, but it was such a large infrastructure and undertaking that when it was all said and done, the Nation of Islam, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, made a whopping, balling out of control, $13,000 in profit. There are local mosques that make more money than that. Local churches, your local basketball arena sized church pulls in more money than that on a Sunday, on any given Sunday. But he put all of this information validated by independent auditor, because he knew our people. See, that's what I'm saying. There's levels to this black leadership thing. It's levels to this black activist thing. It's bigger than just going out with a t-shirt on and pumping your fist and saying, yeah, Ngawa, I want black power, you know what I'm saying? It's deep. It's deeper than that than just posting something on social media. It's deeper than that. You got to say, well, wait a minute. Before I do this, what will the people say? And then what will the enemy do? All these articles about Tamika Mallory and the Black Lives Matter, all of these are coming on white platforms because they know how we're going to act. So I'm saying to today's leadership, yesterday's and tomorrow's, you got to move differently. The minister is not putting himself in front of us. This is why I got to disagree with the brother in the comments. The minister's not putting himself in front of us to be other than us. No, he's putting himself in front of us to be like him. We are to follow him. Not worship him and say, oh man, minister, boy, he sure is. He sure is a nice boy. Boy, look at him. No. He wants us to do what he does. He's laid out the blueprint. I don't know how old Tamika Mallory was when the Million Man March. I think she's in her late 30s or early 40s. But she was old enough to see that and say, wow, that's dope. Did she even know? She's close to the minister, but I'm calling on all of us who want to be activists, who are trying to be activists, who want to do good for our people. Just move differently. You got a beautiful example. He's an example. He ain't an exception. He's an example. If he's an exception and you see him only as an exception, that's your fault. He don't do what he do just to be an exception so you can say, oh, brother mister. Oh. No, he's laying it out. Like they say in the streets, he's giving you the game. He's giving you the game. And if these sisters had that game, they would have said, you know what, let me do something different. Let me go ahead and buy a house in Ladera Heights in Los Angeles instead of Van Nuys somewhere with a bunch of white folks. Let me buy a nice house. We could have got a nice house in Ladera Heights. Every time I drive through Ladera Heights, I don't even want to leave because it's all black and it's nice houses. See, it's levels to this. If you don't respect the levels, if you don't know the levels, maybe you're not ready for that level. But pay attention to the examples that are set before you. With all that said, family, I'm going to close this out with hearing from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he's going to talk about covenants and dealing with our open enemy and why we shouldn't just be endorsing products and why we should be careful about any deal we broker with this enemy or around this enemy. Listen to the minister closely, and then we're going to close out. I'm going to leave y'all as I greeted y'all in the words of peace. It feels so good to be back. Nation Town TV. Assalamu alaikum. But listen to the minister.
And the best of our pocketbooks to pool our resources to develop a programmatic thrust that will lift us and our people out of the condition that they're in. The last thing I want to say, no matter what covenant we make with each other, we have to be careful of any contract or covenant with those who don't have a word that they keep. Ask the Native Americans about all the treaties that they signed. Ask about 40 acres and a mule. We just celebrated 50 years of Brown versus the Board of Education, but while we were celebrating the victory, they were planning to put us right back under segregation, and here we are again. With voting rights bill and accommodation, public accommodation that many suffered to give us that right. Here, Reverend Jackson earlier this morning said in 2007, the voting rights bill could be turned out. So I'm leery about a covenant or a contract with a people who have no word. So I would advise, taking the lead from what Reverend Al and Reverend Lowry has said, let us make the right kind of covenant, and it is a hypothesis that was put before us.
I was told to deliver this message.